Then one of the Pharisees asked him to eat with him, and he went to the Pharisee's house and sat down to eat. This is awkward. And the reason I say it, if you've ever studied the Gospels, you studied the ministry of Yeshua, what you realize is, wow, the Pharisees and Yeshua did not get along. This was not a harmonious relationship. In fact, the Pharisees totally rejected Yeshua as the Jewish Messiah. This Mashiach ben David who was to come and deliver Israel, the Pharisees, absolutely not. We do not accept that. In fact, they took it way further. They actually accused him for working on behalf of the devil. And they actually said he is casting out demons by the ruler of demons. And then you jump on the other side of the tracks. Yeshua has the same feeling about them. When you read in John chapter 8, in fact, everywhere you see where there's this interchange as you look with very few exceptions, there are very few exceptions. Everywhere you see Yeshua and the Pharisees in coming together, and they have an exchange, it's war. Yeshua speaks to these men as one speaks to his enemies. I want to put this into context because it bears importance in this story. I want to put the context of this relationship between the Pharisees and Yeshua in just a little bit. We could spend hours, but we're just going to spend a couple minutes. And so I want to jump ahead briefly to Luke chapter 11, verse 37. This is what we read. And as Yeshua spoke, a certain Pharisee asked him to dine with him, so he went in and sat down to eat. This is the context of our parable, of our story, back in chapter 7. This awkward moment where a Pharisee invites Yeshua over to dinner. 3 times it's recorded that this happens, where Yeshua comes in and dines with the Pharisee. It's not the rule, it's the exception. And what's fascinating, it happens in chapter 7, happens in chapter 11, and then later again in chapter 14. When you look at every one of these examples, a pattern emerges. And what is that pattern? That pattern is Yeshua unleashes. Yeshua takes the opportunity to bring clarity into a very distorted perception. And so here you have this situation. Pharisee, come into my house, dine with me and eat. It says Yeshua went in and ate. Now listen to this. We go on to verse 38. And when the Pharisees saw it, he marveled he had not first washed before dinner. No self-respecting Jew in the first century following Jewish halakha would even consider, it wouldn't even dawn on them to not wash their hands before they ate bread. In fact, it was so serious, let me take you to the Talmud. In Tractate Soda, we read this: whoever eats bread without first washing his hands is as though he had sinned with a harlot. Could you imagine this Pharisee watching Yeshua come in? He invited him into his house nonetheless, and he just has the audacity to go and start eating. He didn't wash. In the Pharisaical mindset, what an abomination. He's likened to a fornicator. And it gets worse. Whoever makes light of washing the hands will be uprooted from the world. Maybe this helps you put into perspective what this Pharisee is trying to process as he sees Yeshua, who is a Jew. There's no debate on this. He is a Jew coming into his house, but he's not observing Jewish halakha. It blows his mind. How does Yeshua handle this? Well, look at him unleash. And the Lord said to him, now you Pharisees make the outside of the cup and dish clean, but your inward part is full of greed and wickedness. Foolish ones, did not he who made the outside make the inside also? Yeshua never fails to take the opportunity, this, what I would call infrastructure that existed, and Pharisaical mindset. They had this infrastructure, this structure, this halakha, on which that this is how we're going to honor God. Yeshua comes in and he totally dismantles it. You know, if it's one thing that I've recognized, Yeshua is intolerant. Let's say it this way. He is intolerant to man-made religiosity, to the self-righteous. Those who are self-righteous in their own sight, wallowing in man-made ideology, he's completely intolerant. And he lays waste to it. And then he says this, hypocrites! Well, did Isaiah prophesy about you, saying, these people draw near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. You see their lips moving. You see they're praising God. And let me be clear. We have Pharisees among us today. Their lips move, they come in, they honor God, they praise and worship, but they're self-righteous inside. Their heart is not with the Lord. And so he goes on and says, in vain they worship me, teaching as doctrines the commandments of men. Do you see the problem? This is the entirety of the problem. Is when you start thinking that you have a better way of honoring God than what God has laid out in the Torah. When you start adding to what God commanded in the Torah, or you start taking away, once you think you have a better way of worshiping the Lord than what God has commanded, you have a problem. And this is the issue. And when he had called the multitude to himself, he said to them, hear and understand, not what goes into the mouth defiles a man, but what comes out of the mouth, this defiles a man. Yeshua makes this statement explicitly in the context of his own disciples, Jewish disciples, eating bread with unwashed hands. His disciples offended the Pharisees because they had done this. Well, it gets even better as we continue. Then his disciples came and said to him, do you know that the Pharisees were offended when they heard this saying? They're like, Master, what are you doing? These are the shepherds of Israel. These are men who are revered and renowned among us. These are the men that we decorate, that we exalt. These are the men that we follow. They teach us Torah, and you have gone and offended them. But he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father has not planted will be uprooted. Let them alone. Literally means leave them. Leave them. They're the blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind leads the blind, both will fall into a ditch. That's a scary reality. Yeshua never minces words. He cuts to the chase. He just says it exactly how it is. You have the blind leading the blind. And where are they going? They're going to their death. That's where they're going. And they're leading others to death. It's real. The war is real.
Hey there, this is Mike at Corner Fringe Ministries. Thanks for watching our video. If you liked the video or it encouraged you, do us a favor. Hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the share. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Now, if you want to watch the rest of this video, hit the button here. And if you want to watch the rest of this series, you can check it out here. And don't forget, you can download the Corner Fringe Ministries app today on any of your Play stores. Thanks for joining us at Corner Fringe Ministries.